You think stress is your cover. Well, you're lucky because in this video I'll cover exactly that. You found the good video. But I'll also cover how to manage it. But before doing all of that, who am I? My name is Wesley, and my mission is to help prevent 1,000 men from killing themselves because of their addiction to adult content, literally getting to suicidal thoughts because of this one addiction. These are my type of video, and if that interests you, make sure you subscribe. Also, aren't you tired of having this stress? I'll explain it. You got stress, and what you think about going and watching porn. And you think to yourself that doing that over and over keeps on resolving your stress. But what happened the next day? You got stress. And what happened, even coming from that, you get even more stress because now you have this addiction. And if you don't nurture this addiction, you keep on having more and more stress. So now your solution to that stress is now having even more stress to deal with. And this keeps on going bigger and bigger. This impacts a lot of other ways, other part of your brain and your physical health. And it deteriorates them to a point where you're not at full capacity right now. You're not optimal. And that makes you unable to approach women, for example. You're unable to approach women because you don't have the self-confidence. You don't feel the need to approach women or to pass time with friends and with family because you like being alone. But you like being alone, you like the isolation because of that addiction. You're used to separate yourself from your family in order for you to go and fap. So this is kind of bringing all types of problems in your life. And you know about it. You don't need me to tell you all of these problems. If you just take the time to analyze yourself, take a step back and look at your whole life, you'll kind of start to see all the problems that this addiction brings you. So what I'm offering is exactly that. Bringing you and taking you free from this addiction for good. And a step-by-step plan with personalized help. And I'll be there for you, with you, because I figured out that in order for you to quit, you are different from others. And everyone has their own stories. And even you, yes, you, right now, watching this video, you have your own story with your own difficulties to face. And if I just give a random strategy to everyone, it won't work for everyone because everyone is different. So it just works for certain people. And that's why the strategies that there is online that are free, they're supposed to work for everyone, but not everyone is free. They don't work for everyone. So you need a personalized help, and I'm there to offer this personalized help. So if you're interested by that or just want to look, first thing down in the description, and that I continue directly with the video about the stress trigger. Think about when you relapse, or you're not even in your recovery right now and you just go and fap. Think about this moment, what happens right before that. Did you just come back from work, for example? Or did you have an exam coming up? Did you have anything that can bring you stress? This is how you actually are going to find that this is your trigger. If you are in a stressful situation, how do you tend to feel to manage that situation? Do you tend to manage it well? Or do you tend to think about, oh, I would really want to go and fap? If you tend to think that you'd want to fap, then this is your trigger. And every time you relapse, if you relapse because you just come back from work and you had all that stress every day today, right? And all that stress isn't well managed. And what happened? You go and fap in order for you to deal with that stress. Then stress is really your trigger. So this is really how you identify it. You take a step back and you watch your life. You watch what brings me stress. What could bring me stress? And when that thing brings me stress, how do I respond to it? What are my actions that I take in order for me to deal with that stress? And oftentimes, if this is your trigger, your answer is just to go and do nothing about it right now because you know that later you will deal with it by going and fapping to corn. So this is how you identify it. People usually, what they do, they tend to go into bad addictions and bad habits, I was meaning to say, because bad habits are way easier to do than good habits. So in this case, I'm talking specifically about addiction to adult content, but you still get the point. People sometimes aren't happy with their lives, or in this case have a trigger of stress. They have way too much stress and they can't manage it, or feel like they can't manage it. So in order to deal or escape from that stress, what they do, they distract themselves with bad habits, such as playing video games, social media, such as smoking, drinking, and all these things. But right now I was talking about corn. So corn is what happens. They have this stress and they go and watch corn. And this is really bad, but I'll explain this right now. It's not working because you don't deal with that stress when you're doing that, right? Let's visualize the example. You get the stress, so you're feeling stressed. You go and fap. When you relapse and when you just came, what happened? Yes, okay, you have this big crash. So now, right now, you're not feeling any stressed, right? You're not stressed. You have this big calm, this big down, and you're feeling like life is so beautiful. And then what happened 2 hours later, when you recover your full state, when you recover all of your thoughts and everything, your stress comes back. Your stress comes back because you didn't deal with that stress. So this is just a typical example. But what happened is that you're not dealing directly with the stress. Instead, you're kind of messing up your brain in order for him to not see the stress. So this is kind of a way to do it, but it doesn't resolve the initial problem, which is the stress, because it doesn't deal with the stress. It only deals with your own brain. You're kind of putting your brain like that, hands in front of the eyes, so he doesn't see the stress. But at a point, you will remove that hand. So when you remove that hand, the stress is still there. So the problem is still there. And now what happened is that every day you keep on putting your hands in front of your ears, in front of your eyes, sorry, so you don't see the stress. And that is your way to deal with stress. For the example, if I can give you a mental image, you have a very ugly girl inside of the gym. And what happened? Every time you go to the gym, you kind of put your hands in front of your ears and in front of your eyes to not see that girl, because you really don't want to see her. She's very ugly, right? She's like really ugly, and you don't want to see her. You hate her, even though you don't know her, right? You put your and every time you do this, instead of maybe just changing the gym, right? Or maybe just not entering, and every time you enter you try to look at her. Or maybe you could directly contact her and I don't know, you go walk up to her even though you really don't like seeing her, and you tell her like, oh, could you just change gym or things like that, right? There is I mean all of this because there is multiple ways to deal with it, but you're only taking one way, and that's okay. You tried a way that was putting your hands in front of your eyes, and you see it's not working. She's still there. She's still working out. And every day you will keep on having to put this hand in front of your eyes in order for you to live. But as I said, you could just change him. If you change Jim, you won't see her again. So no need to put your hands in front of your eyes. There's multiple solutions to that same problem. And right now you're trying to solve a problem by applying a solution. So that's okay. But now you see this solution isn't working. The stress is still there. Every day when you come back from work, you're still having stress. Every day when you have an exam coming at school, you still have the stress. Are you going to keep this addiction all of your life? Because every time you're feeling stressed, you'll remember that when you were younger, oh, I just had to fap, and it vanishes for like 2 to 3 hours. So are you going to keep this as an addiction just because of that? Or do you want to change it? I mentioned in a lot of my videos, the best way to deal with stress isn't watching corn. That's the worst way. Well, not the worst way, right? Any bad habits, basically. But the best way is doing sports. Yes, doing sports, any sports. But I'll take an example just to get a clear idea. Let's say I play soccer, all right? just playing soccer 3 times a week. This is enough. Just need to do that. Don't need to do anything else. This will remove your need to fap because you won't feel the stress. So you won't have stress as a trigger. Maybe you'll then realize that you have many other triggers. But stress won't be part of it because your stress will be resolved by you actually going and doing sports. So this is the best sports. If you hate sports for any reason, I don't know why you would hate sport. Personally, I love it. But let's say you hate sport for all of the reasons that you want to hate sport. The second best would be to exercise. At least go to the gym. This would be best because you have to understand that, especially for a guy, right? I'm especially doing guys. For girls, it can be a little bit different, but the same kind of sense apply. But for the guy, especially, it's really important. When we spend energy, this energy that we spend help us regulate our mood and our emotions and our everything. We are used to having to work hard for the things we want, and we are used to having to fight wars, right? If you look at before, it's not women that are fighting wars, it's men. Men are fighting wars and are used to being maltreated, to being like pushed to their hardest. And with that, it's inside of our genes, right? We have to work hard and work hard, like push weights and things like that. So going to the gym is literally good for you, but not only because it makes you a healthy person. It's good because your genes recognize it as good. You feel better inside of your own body if you go to the gym without even having any gains. I'm not talking about you having this muscle and I can flex muscle and everything. I'm not talking about that. Just the fact that you go and do gym, you'll feel better inside of yourself. And this is without the muscle, as I said. It's just because you went there. And you know this feeling too. When you go out of the gym and you realize, oh, damn, I just did a session. And now you're feeling super proud of yourself. You know that you did it. So you have to either, at least, if you want to deal with that stress, do sport. That's the best. The second best is, at least if you are a guy, do gym. Gym is really incredible. If you're a girl, you can still do gym, right? It will be good for you, but in your genes, you weren't doing, like, it's not as important as for guys, right? You can have other ways to deal with it, but I'm talking mainly for guys. We are the warriors, so we need to go to gym and do sport. So either sport, gym. You have also other ways to deal with it, but they're less kind of effective than sports and gym. I'll still give them, but they're not as effective. You have meditation. Meditation makes you able to actually look at yourself from a third person view, improves your self-awareness, and you're calm. You will be way calmer if you have stress, if you have everything, basically, if you do meditation. And you have to do meditation for a long time. The time that you do it every day is not really important, right? You don't need to do this 15 minutes every day. It's the everyday that is important. Even if you do just 3 minutes, it's 3 minutes every day that is important. Not a long session and after you don't do it and after no. You need to do it every day, and even if it's just a little bit of time, maybe just 1 minute, right? It's better to do it 1 minute every day and upgrade with the time, like further and further. Then just do like big session at the start, like 10 minutes directly in starting, and doing 10 minutes, and then stopping because you're kind of not getting bored of it. So these are really the big three. You can also journal as usual. Just journaling is really good for taking your thoughts and putting it on a paper, because your brain keeps on thinking about stuff because you don't write it. When you write, your brain doesn't need to remember it anymore because he knows that it's wrote on this book. So all he needs to remember is this book as information that if I want to remember, I will need to look at. So this is the new information that is stored in your brain, and now your brain forgets what you were constantly thinking about. And this works for everything, right? For anxiety, for stress, for everything. If you keep on thinking, oh, I have this exam that's coming up, Oh, it's this Thursday, it's this Wednesday. If you write on that book, Wednesday I have an exam, math, what I need to do in order to prepare myself for this. Okay, this. All right, then I'm prepared. And now what happened? You won't think about it as much. It won't stress you as much because you have a specific date. It's written, and you know what to do in order to prepare yourself for this date. The best way to deal with stress is going directly to the root of stress. And this root is identifying in yourself. So this, I can't really do it for you. Is you identifying how and where is that stress coming from. For example, I gave work as an example, but it doesn't have to be work. It can be school, it can be just your normal life, it can be friends, it can be family. Any stress that's coming from somewhere, but let's take work because that's the first example that I gave. If it's coming from work, what in your work brings you stress? Maybe it's your boss. Okay, now you identify that it's your boss. What can I do about that boss so that it brings me less stress? Maybe I could talk with him about it. Hey, Nana, you bring me stress. When you tell me to do things like that, it brings me extra stress, and I feel like I can't deal with that. And maybe try to find solution with him about dealing with it. Maybe it's in you. You have to detach to kind of put yourself away from that person. Okay, every time I talk to my boss, he's really mean to me and that brings me stress. Maybe I need to change job. Maybe I need to change the boss. Like, yes, you're not maybe the boss of the company, but you still get what I mean. You could maybe sign a petition in order for all of the people to kick that boss. Because maybe that boss is not only like this to you, but to other people in the company also. You kind of see that you have multiple solutions to deal with that stress. So I gave ways in order for you to deal with that stress if you have it. And now I'm giving you ways in order to deal with the initial stress. So you don't even get stress that now you need to deal with. You eliminate the source of that stress. And if you eliminate the root, then you won't have the tree of stress. And you won't have to manage that tree of stress. So you kind of get the both. But I can't really help you identify exactly what is your root of stress if we don't talk together. And in order for us to talk together, the only way that I offer is the coaching program. So if you're really interested by that, first thing down in the description. All that, I'll continue directly with the last thing that I wanted to mention. So, real life example, you're there at school and you have this exam that's coming in 2 days. It's a final exams. It counts for 25% of your year, and you're there at 55% in your report card. You know that if you miss this exam, you will fail the year, and your parents, they really want you to succeed. So you have this big stress, right? You're feeling stress right now. You know that if you fail this, your life will be a mess. Your parents won't look at you the same, and you won't even be able to look yourself in the mirror. So you're there in your room 2 days before the exam, and you're there shaking on your chair. You know that you have to study right now, but you can't put your mind to it because what happened? You keep on thinking, damn, what will happen if I miss? What will happen if I miss? What are my parents are going to think about me? What will I do after that? Will I really go and do my year again and meet people that will laugh at me because I'm still in that class while they're upgrading from their last class? I won't even have friends. My friends are moving up a stair while I'm staying at the same one. And while all of these thoughts are coming from this, you think to yourself, okay, in order for me to really study because I really need to study, I need to calm myself. And your answer, your thing to calm yourself is, oh, and I really love playing with myself. I really love fapping. So what happened? You take your phone, you go to the bathroom, you do the thing, and now you just finished it. Now you're calm, you're relaxed, and now you can study in peace. So you study for 2 hours, because you're really great, right? But you study without your full concentration, because what happened, you're relaxed. So your brain doesn't even want to study right now. But you're forcing yourself to study because you know that if you fail this exam, it's the end of your life. Study for 2 hours. Now it's time to go to bed. You go on your bed. What happened? First of all, you're not fatigued. And why is that? Well, you're on your phone and you feel like your day isn't finished. You could do many things again. You could watch TikTok. So you decide to go on your phone, watch a little bit on Instagram. And now, what happened? You kind of delay the time that you're going to bed. So you're sleeping less. Now all of your thoughts are coming back. All the stress. You finally recover, right? You recover from that fapping that you did in the bathroom. Now your stress is coming back and now you can't sleep. You're having insomnia because you keep on thinking, oh damn, my exam. But weren't your fapping supposed to solve that problem of stress? Right? So why are you so stressed? Now you might say to me, oh, okay, Wesley, it's because the day hasn't arrived, right? It's still the same day. And to that, I will answer, if you find a solution to your problem, then your problem isn't supposed to still be there. Your solution is supposed to solve the problem. If the solution doesn't solve the problem, then it's not a solution. So, are you telling me that your solution doesn't solve the problem, but you keep on using this bad solution in order to deal with your problem? Right? So then, what would you need to do? Well, this little guy that we will call Jeremy needs to stop using corn as a way to deal with his stress coming from his exams. And first of all, study more, because clearly if he has 55%, it's because he's not working hard enough at school. Or, sorry for Jeremy, maybe he doesn't listen at school because he's distracted, right? He keeps on fapping himself to corn every day. So what happened? Maybe in class he doesn't listen. He's not concentrated because he keeps on getting distracted by other things. His concentration is not good enough because of that addiction that he has. And that prevents him from actually getting the grades that he could be having if he could fully concentrate on the task given. And now because of that, he's on the brink of failure. He's close. So now he needs to study. And what he could do with that stress, first of all, if he was doing sports, him were having an healthy brain, maybe that stress wouldn't be as high, right? But you can say to me, maybe he would still have stress. So what does he need to do right now in order to deal with that stress? Study. The study will make him sure, if he knows every subject that they could be in that exam, he will pass the exam, right? The exam isn't, yes, okay, it's like kind of mysterious. You don't really know exactly the questions that are going to be in there. But if you fully know your subject, you can't fail the exam. You know the subject. If I know my maths and I know that in the exam he will ask me 1 through 10, the numbers, addition, then I only need to study additions 1 through 10. If I know all of them, he can't give me a surprise question of 12 plus 12, right? It's not from 1 to 10. Like, it's, if I know everything from 1 to 10 and the questions are about 1 to 10, I will ace the exam because I know all of the questions. That's the same that applies. Now, okay, maybe depending on where you are at school, your grades and things, you may have more things to kind of analyze, right? To kind of study. And yes, I understand that. But it's still the same point. If you know everything, you won't have stress coming from an exam. You know everything. If you are confident in yourself that you know your situation, like you study a lot in that specific topic that you have the exam, and you know you could be having a great note because this time you really worked hard for this exam, and you know everything, every subject, every question that he could ask, you know the answer, then why are you stressing? Like, you are passing this exam because you know everything. Let's say it's an exam in history and you know every fact every date that he told about, everything that he told. You could be there and just talking with him and giving him all the information that he gave in the past like 8 class, and you know all of them. Then why are you scared of the exam, right? So this was a way to deal with it, and it's not using corn. Corn only shoot yourself something in the foot. So don't use corn, use one of these that I told you. On that, I'll actually ask you to take care of yourself.